Are you actually a bodybuilder or a powerlifter if you don't compete? Hi, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about something that's been on my mind after seeing a few videos talking about this topic. I just sort of wanted to weigh in my opinion on this. Basically, it's should you identify with being say bodybuilder or powerlifter if you don't actually compete? And there's conflicting opinions on this, but my initial point that I'm going to be going through is that yes, I do believe you should identify as something if it's something you do. So to start off, my sort of theory here is that most people you see fall off either a certain type of exercise or diet. You see the ridiculous statistics of like so many studies that any people who lose weight, almost all of them put it back on. Like how many people realistically stick to exercise, and you see almost all older people are like under muscled, under trained, and like basically unfit because they've given up on exercise. So why is this? Obviously there's a variety of reasons, but I think a big reason that I see, or that I believe, is that people don't really identify with the habit or diet that they're doing. Is that you take an average person, say they take up going to the gym or they take up a diet to lose weight. Why are they doing that? Or like how does that sort of work out in their head? Is that I am this is what a lot of the conception in their head is like I am an overweight person. Overweight person, I'm going on a diet. Overweight person, I'm going to exercise. Or person who don't like, I'm skinny, I'm going I'm going to exercise, like go to the gym to get bigger. They don't actually acknowledge the habit, the diet, the whatever you want to call it, the exercise, that they don't acknowledge it as like something they do. It's they are a person who is X, and they are doing this habit. They are an overweight person who is doing a diet. They don't identify with it, and like how are you going to stick to something if it doesn't fit? You're doing something that it doesn't fit into your like internal identity or sort of conception of yourself, that if your conception of yourself is that you're an overweight person, like how much do you really care about exercise? Like if you sort of acknowledge and like really internalize that exercise is not something you do, you don't believe really that you exercise or diet or being healthy or losing weight, you don't like really acknowledge that that's something that you do, you don't believe it. So how likely are you to stick to that habit? Probably not very, and probably why so many people fall off diets, fall off exercise in modern times, because they don't believe it. They don't believe it's them. They don't believe that this X habit has anything to do with their person, really. So some examples of this that I would take is like whether you agree with them or not, like the keto cults or like vegans are like a really great example of this. Is that like how say a vegan diet, like people who go on vegan diets, they're all in on it. They fully identify as vegans, and it's almost obnoxious, like, and annoying that like the way vegans go on generally, but they make it their identity. How likely is a vegan, like you speak to your average vegan, how likely is a vegan to eat meat? Like how likely are they going to cheat on their diet? They don't, because this is what they identify as. They build themselves around that. I am not someone who eats animal products. They build that into themselves, so it becomes a part of them that this is something they do. They don't. It's not. I'm a normal person and I am going vegan for a month. They fully believe that they are not a person who does this X habit, so they don't. they don't fall off. Now people might revert like down the line. Yeah, people may revert to being like eating a regular diet down the line, but generally they're not. Like you're never going to, almost never. It'd be like minimal, like infinitesimally small, like the type the amount of vegans that you would see that who cheat on their diet, because it, like I said, it's not a conception to them. They are not someone who eats meat. That's their belief, that's their identity. Which is complete opposite of what I said before, where you had people who I am an overweight person. That's their belief, or that's their internal monologue. I am doing this exercise to lose weight, or I am on this diet because me, fat person, overweight person, wants to lose weight. They don't internalize that I am a healthy person, or like I am whatever. Like say they take up a sport or running, they don't internalize that I am a runner. They just say I am doing running because I want to do some exercise to get healthy, I want to lose weight. They don't internalize the identity part of it, and I think it's a big detriment to people's consistency and keeping up of the habits. Another obviously big example is like bodybuilders and powerlifters, or runners, any type of exercise. Like the amount of people who like say like silver era bodybuilders or whatever, like that was something, it was part of their identity. They are someone who like is physical, builds their body. It's not necessarily the gym, but you see a lot of, or I've seen a lot of these guys who are just like physical people in general. They like doing physical stuff, and your body is the one you're piloting to do that physical stuff. So it sort of revolves around this whole identity of, yeah, bodybuilder, someone who does physical stuff, and you sort of believe that's what you do, that's what you enjoy. And you see like these people well into their old age or whatever, were healthy, like muscular, like well developed type of thing. They never fell off of being physical people, really. The sort of videos and debate that sparked this for me was that natural hypertrophy and revival fitness going back and forth a while ago, talking about, so you have one side of the scale, or the argument that natural hypertrophy like does consider people, he says like you should say you're a bodybuilder. I might paraphrasing some of these arguments, or like glossing, like sort of simplifying them, but basically it was along the lines of like he believes if you're like doing bodybuilding, you should consider yourself a bodybuilder. I'm more lean to this side of the argument, obviously. The other side of the argument is revival fitness, who considers you like you're only a bodybuilder if you compete in bodybuilding competitions. You're only a powerlifter if you compete in powerlifting competitions, which, yeah, on a technicality, I would agree with him. You're not like a competitive bodybuilder or a competitive powerlifter, but like I said previously, I think it's not about that. Like that is sort of a separate aspect for me, is that the identity and what you like sort of identify yourself as. I think, like going back to what I said previously, I think it's a very important I think it's a very important aspect that you sort of take this identity into yourself, or like sort of accept like or take on this identity of whatever you want to do. Because like I said, most people struggle with like staying consistent and like keeping up with the habit, and like it's people, like I said before, that don't really take this take it into themselves, or acknowledge it as part of their identity, are like so more likely to give up or quit than go back to the vegan example. Like, how likely is a vegan to cheat on his diet? Probably not at all, because it's such a big part of their identity or who they are, that they're not going to quit. They're not going to give up for a day or like go off, whatever. So yeah, I think it's a very important aspect that it's separate from the aspect of being a competitive bodybuilder or whatever, that I think you should take it into yourself and take on this identity. So next I'm going to go over sort of my personal experience and journey, how I got to this point, that sort of made this opinion, and how I came to this conclusion and belief. So originally, like, I started off, I was overweight, I wanted to lose weight. The gym was like the methods that like I settled on, and like sort of bodybuilding specifically was like the method I settled on. That was going to be how I made like change my body, because I was overweight and didn't like what I looked like. Originally I was very rigid, like had to stick to it, like it was the end of the world if something went wrong. And yeah, I think this is what a lot of people fall into, is when you are me, like I was an overweight person, and I am doing this to, like, I'm only doing this to change, or like to lose weight or whatever. Which, yeah, if you fall off completely, something goes wrong, like you have like life problems, like you're likely to give up, not focus on it. It's not a priority for you, it's not part of your identity, so it's not that important that you actually will sacrifice other things to maintain this, which, if it's a habit related to your health, it should be a priority, it should be your fucking number one priority. But obviously in modern times that's not how we see things. Like, we don't consider our bodies as the number one priority, which I think is a big mistake. That was how I was previously. I've sort of changed my beliefs and like what my thoughts around this over time, and now, like, even though like I don't have an amazing physique, I'm not like big, I'm not shredded or anything like that, I do consider myself a bodybuilder. Like, I do consider that part of my identity. Now I'm much more flexible with things. If I miss a session, or I can't do something because like life got in the way, or I'm going out for a meal with family and I go over calories or whatever, it doesn't feel like my world is going to end. It doesn't feel like this is the end. I've gone off. Like, there's no recovering from this. I'm flexible. I'm fluid with it. I know. Right. I say something got in the way. I missed a session. Okay. Push the session back. It's fine. It's not a big deal. If I don't push it back, I missed that session. Okay. It's not the biggest deal. I'm not going to fall off. I'll just go do my next session in the program, and then come back next week and do that session again. It's not a big deal. Training is part of my identity. The sort of diet is part of my identity. It's part of who I am now. Like, walking is surprisingly, getting my steps in is something I do. It's part of my identity. It's part of who I am now. It's not something that, something got in the way, I'm not going to get my steps in, or my life changed, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to train. It's part of who I am. Like, it's a big part of like what my life revolves around, or not revolves around, but it's a big thing in the orbit of my life that, yeah, my body is a priority, so I'm not gonna change, like skip over that or give up working on it, because like I said, I've taken on this identity of a bodybuilder, someone who cares about they're using and training their body. So like I said, I'm way more I don't ever feel that like if something happens now, I could easily skip training, it's not a big deal. It's like I place such an importance on it that, yeah, I'd probably sacrifice other things for it, but this is my priorities, this is who I am now. So I think that's that's my personal experience with it, and I feel like the way I've sort of evolved in this is going to be beneficial for me over the long term, because like I said, I don't really, it's sort of who I am now, that like training my body in like, and caring about diet is who I am now. So I can't see, like, there's no reason I would give up or give up or fall off and like go back to old habits, because that's not who I am anymore. This is for quite a while now, like this is who I am. So there's nothing to revert to. This is the normal now. This is where I'm going to stay, pretty much. So to conclude this, I would say try it. It's a pretty famous quote: "You are what you repeatedly do." If you're living the life of a runner, of a bodybuilder, you are what you repeatedly do. If for a year straight you have lived the life of a bodybuilder, congratulations, you are a bodybuilder. Like, you don't need to compete It doesn't matter how big you are, how shit your physique is, how good your physique is. You are what you repeatedly do. If this is the life you live, you are that. So sort of acknowledge that. Take that into yourself and like believe it, because like if it's your priority, if this is what you do, if this is the way you live, you are. So hopefully that helps people sort of get this straight in their head. And like I've talked about throughout the video, I think it will lead to more people not giving up, not quitting when things turn whatever way in their life, or they're not progressing in the gym, or they run into something. I think people are more likely to stick if you believe and live the life of a bodybuilder, because that's who you are. Well, I don't think you're going to give up. I think you will see more healthy people, more people sticking to things in the long term, which can only be good for us. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe, and yeah, that's it.